Hi, I'm Fox.
Couch Guy.
I'm Ragable.
And you're watching the Two Smart Guys show. Every week we bring you the latest and greatest in technology, hacking, and modifying of your personal electronic devices.
Enhancing the use of your personal equipment.
Getting more out of it. And what are we getting more out of today?
Well, today we are getting more out of the...
Canon 5D Mark II.
Yeah, so these little DSLR cameras are all the rage right now because you're able to get cinema quality...
Little nothing. It's $2,500 for that without a lens.
Yeah.
That's not little. That's little. That's $800 without a lens.
And they're very similar. And both of them can be modified with the Magic Lantern software.
This one definitely has a weight difference. I was noticing when I was playing with it, like you swing that at somebody in a crowd, you're killing them. You swing this at somebody, you're just denting them.
You know, it does weigh about twice as much.
And
There's another use for your device.
But, okay, here's the difference. This is plastic. This is like got a magnesium body.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like, it's not going to dent. Like, you're going to kill somebody.
But you get a flash with this one.
So, paparazzi, don't piss them off. They might kill you with their camera.
Yeah, so what are some of the movies and stuff they're using this on?
Oh, you know, we've... movie-wise,
Background stuff like
I know that Lucas used
Iron Man
it
2.
in as a tight camera for his new movie coming out called Red Tails. I know that it was used for background plating from 24 to Iron Man. I know that an entire episode of House was shot last season.
The season finale was shot on it.
And if you've seen the episodes, you know why, because they were like jamming things into like, you know, under buildings that collapsed. But it was, you know, I know that True Blood came and bought a crap load of them. Or was rumored to.
Yeah, they're supposedly shooting the whole next season on 5Ds.
So there's a, you know,
oh, and Saturday Night Live, their intros,
SNL.
and most of their skits are
have been shot on them.
The non-live parts. The non-live parts of Saturday Night Live.
Well, there's pre-produced portions of Saturday Night Live, and they try and do their...
So why are these guys using this cheap, relatively cheap, because...
It's not cheap. It's decent. It's good hardware. Don't call it cheap.
Well, no,
Okay.
we'll call it cheap, because in comparison to what it does, it's competing with $100,000 cameras.
Right, so Red came along, and they put out a $20,000 camera, and everybody's like, oh my god, that's
Yeah,
horrendously cheap.
$25,000 for a body. For a body. That's all it was a body. You can't see what's coming out of it. You can't do anything else with it. It is a body that has, like, spigots. So nothing else. And they wanted $25,000.
Yeah, so this thing comes along. When did it come out? Like a year and a half ago?
I think it came out 2 years ago, but,
yeah.
you know, it kind of slowly crept into everything.
But one of the major turning points was this custom firmware, Magic Lantern. They added a lot of functionality that wasn't originally in the Canon firmware that allowed people to use it for more video work.
The original firmware only had 30p functionality. Now, all this has changed now, but the original 30p functionality had really terrible AGC, which is automatic gain control for the audio, so the audio would just be through the roof in weird ways. And Canon admits, like, we screwed up. We had no concept of this thing taking off, because we thought it was just going to be some, like, one, soccer mom camera, two, it was going to be like press photographers who might be able to catch video, that they'd be able to flip it to a video side and hit go, and be able to catch video for like cheap web video. And that's all they ever expected it to be.
And thanks to, development from from the group behind Magic Lantern, they've shown Canon that this camera can be used in this way, and that people want to use it in this way.
And, yeah, Magic Lantern's been really quick on responsiveness too, like adding in functionality that the film community wants to see, and really has kind of probably pushed Canon in a direction much faster than they probably wanted to go. And Canon has added some features of this into their new firmware. Not everything, but they've added quite a bit of features into their new firmware.
And Magic Lantern just recently, they're raising the bar for Canon, so hopefully Canon will add these as well. But some of the big features are basically doubling the bitrate.
The bitrate was always a big deal, because it, in terms of what it shoots originally, was 35 megabits per second, which isn't terrible, but it's not what you want to see. The Magic Lantern bitrate almost doubled it, or more than doubled it, to 76 megabits per second, but it's
Yeah.
super unstable.
Yeah, 76 megabits per second. It fills up a buffer because essentially there are no cards that go that fast yet.
And well, not just the buffer. It is you're going to cook your sensor at some point because it's getting hot. There's not really a way to cool it off. So right now I could take it outside and not worry about it because it's like all of like 5 degrees outside, and we just have this steaming, camera in about 20 minutes. But
Ow.
it's harder on the sensor this way. But
Which brings up another point with this firmware is the dangers that it can cause towards your hardware.
yeah, when you are tweaking something like this, where they, granted Canon has been crippling some of the sensor because they don't want to deal with this problem. If you start uncorking, really the data rate on this stuff, you take your own camera and you've definitely at this point voided your warranty.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not about breaking a 5D Mark II, but more about damaging the sensor because it's overheating.
Yeah.
That's the biggest concern with this.
So the claims on the website is so far nobody's bricked their camera.
No, but that bricking a camera and cooking a camera are different.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is it gets noisy when it gets hot.
Well, it gets noisy, but it also starts shutting off. But just like any other
It's
piece
got
of
its
equipment.
own safety measures. It's not
Yeah,
a
but-
huge risk.
All right, raise your hand if you've had those safety measures go on 4 or 5 times and then suddenly the thing stopped working. Okay, it's those things
Okay.
are safety measures to be happen one time when you use like in the Sahara and you're shooting all day long. To have it heat the sensor up that much, there are damages that can happen.
Okay,
so it needs to be buyer beware on that.
Warning about that.
Big fat effing warning.
Yes, you can damage the camera with this. That being said, it can add a lot of new functionality to it.
Yeah,
the
there are
higher
some good
bit rate, most of this is all geared towards video.
Yeah.
What do they call the meters for audio?
The VU meters.
The VU meters
you
for
can
the
actually
audio.
see them now where the new software upgrade got rid of the AGC, but you couldn't really see your meters while you were shooting.
Right, so you didn't know if people were too quiet or too loud or whatever.
Yeah, and
So-
you definitely couldn't adjust them while you were shooting.
And you couldn't adjust them independently, the right and left channels,
Yeah, you
or
were
select
stuck
your
with
internal
one.
or external, which
Yeah.
you can do with the Magic Lantern.
Yeah.
And you can also have the zebra striping, so let
Yeah,
you know
so
if you're
using
overexposed.
zebras.
And you've got edge detection, which helps you check your focus. You've got a waveform monitor. You've got a histogram. A whole bunch of things that are fairly standard on higher end cameras. But
Yeah, except for histogram. Histograms are pretty much an SLR thing.
well, there's some on these T2 ones or EX ones and 3s.
Dirty EX.
All right, so should we get into a demo of this magical
I think we
magic
should show
lantern?
how to make the magic happen.
All right, so here's how the magic happens. It's another super simple process. 3 steps.
I love 3-step processes.
3-step process. 1, you download the archive file from the link get2smartguys.com/magiclantern. 2, you unarchive it to the root of your compact flash card. 3, you pop it into your DSLR and you run the firmware update. And the cool thing about this is all it does is load it into memory. So it's not permanently modifying the camera in any way, shape, or form. And it'll do a soft reboot and you'll be running the firmware. So you can hit the little button. What is that little thing called?
Go.
This button.
Looks like a wheel.
No, it's...
Yes, it
well,
looks like a wheel with the one
It's right on
that's
the
solid.
Style. That's the picture style.
Yes, picture style button. That's what it is.
Bingo. Picture style button.
All right, so now that you get the firmware loaded up onto the camera, you hit the little stupid button that we're showing on the screen.
Picture style button.
The picture style
The
button.
picture style button. And then you have access with the little joysticky Bob Doodle thingy. You can go through all these settings that they have, where you can select your zebra striping, your waveform monitor, all that fun stuff. And if you want to get to the bit rate, you go to debug, and you change these values right here. And there's a chart that we have in our show notes. You set it to like -14, I think, is the one for the 64 megabit.
Yeah.
And
What you should note, Potts, is that the Magic Lantern firmware that you put on there is a beta version that you're using to get the higher bit rate, correct?
right, this is not even a beta. This is like a pre-alpha build. This is like a test build just to see if this is capable of doing such things. And like I had an external monitor hooked up to it, and I hit record it, and I lost all viewing.
Went away.
But they have a more stable build without that feature that you can use. And one thing to be noted is take out the battery.
Yeah.
When you're done using it, because it still runs in the background even when the camera is off. So it could potentially overheat your camera. So that's what they recommend doing for the time being until they get that problem addressed. And then, if you ever want to use it again, you just simply go and do the firmware update. And it's really quick. It just basically just does a quick reset on the camera, and you're back in Magic Lantern mode.
And we like Magic Lantern mode.
So it's pretty handy, and they also make one for this T2i, which we'll be doing on another episode.
Yeah. There's also, on that note, there is another project for loading custom firmwares onto some of the lower-end DSLRs, like the T2i, the 400D, the 350D, and the 300D, and mostly Canon PowerShots, which are just point-and-shoots. It's a project called CHKDK, and it adds some extra functionality as well. In the instance of my camera, the XTI, the 400D, it has a finer selection of ISOs, which are probably digital ISOs. They're not true ISOs. You get access to Canon's factory menu. You can see the shutter actuation count. You can set focus frame patterns. Normally with focusing, you either have all 9 points selected, or you can select one of those points. With a focus frame, you can set the outer edges or square, so you get better control on where you'd like your focus to pull from. And then another one was, what was the other thing? It was, let's see here, the firmware it had. Spot metering, that's the big one right there, spot metering. The lowest you can go down to on the XTI and the T2i is partial metering, which is a circle about 18 to 19% to expose for. With spot metering, you can go all the way down to, I think, maybe 9. Or maybe partial is 9, spot is 2%. So you can have a finer control where your picture is setting the exposure, or where your camera is going to set the exposure for.
We should test that. I have a spot meter. We could test that.
We did. We tested spot metering on the 5D Mark II and the difference. If you go to Ponx's Facebook page, CouchGuy, you can see him leaning to the left like this, or whatever. One's really brightly lit.
I meant against like a traditional spot meter. Like I have a light meter. We could test it against that baseline.
Oh, that'd be a good idea.
Camera against a baseline spot meter and see
That'd
how
be cool.
it compares.
Anyways,
I'm down for that.
Weekly show. Check us out, twosmartguys.com. Every Monday we got new stuff for you. And is there anything that we're forgetting? Oh yeah, Mosey.
Mosey. Backup that you can't live without.
Yeah, if you forget to back up your stuff, this does it for you automatically. It backs it up to the cloud, where it's nice and safely secured through encryption and
If you're like me, I just install it on things like my wife's computer without telling her. And that way I don't have to worry about like, what happened to the family pictures? There's somewhere.
It's unlimited backup for less than $5 a month, and you can save even more when you use our code TOOSMART.
And it's not just a temporary
it is a lifetime.
It's permanent. Cost savings for life. So we can't even put
It's a win-win. You save your files, you help us, you save money.
Yeah, we like this. We call this bonus.
A bonus.
All right, thanks for joining. And if you want to see more of our shows, subscribe to the feed on iTunes or YouTube.
Just get it on YouTube.
Or check us out on your new Boxy Box. Or
yeah, we have our own custom app on there now.
App it up.
Get the app. See you guys.
Laters.
This has been a Two Smart Guys production.
The button that I don't use.
How the hell does that look like a flower? It's a circle.
It's got
It
petals.
looks like a flower. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll take a shot of it.
Because there really is a picture of a flower for most Canon
Okay,
cameras.
not the tulip. We're not talking. There's no freaking tulip on the back of this camera.